done about it. I wanted to take an interesting view and look at, say, hey, the perspective of, okay, I'm a diabetic. I just found out I have diabetes. So, if I have diabetes and I'm looking for information on it, what information's out there? What can I do? Just kind of play the part of pretending I'm a layman and see what information I can find. So, I found the Hawaii.gov, diabetes resource and tools, Volunteer Hawaii, the CDC diabetes, the Hawaii state page from the CDC, Hawaii's diabetes educators. A lot of the links that I found from these sites are now dead links. I mean, they just so it's like they pretend like you're giving your information and there's no information there. A lot of the information that I found is severely outdated, like 10, 11 years old. Some of like the message boards and stuff and like newsletters for the big groups that you get from the Hawaii.gov webpage have not met in like 7, 8 years. And between that and the dead leaks, the most recent thing that I found was in 2004, which is 6 years old. So it's obviously not very current, not very up-to-date information, And, I read a news article recently that was talking about how we can't even build dialysis centers fast enough out here in Hawaii because it's so prevalent. We're number one in the nation for diabetes. And, the average, and most people don't know this, but the average cost for dialysis, because that's just one of the renal problems, kidney problems, just one of the problems caused by diabetes. But the average patient that's on dialysis pays about 40 grand a year. A lot of people don't even make that much money. I certainly couldn't afford to pay that. I mean, that would break me. 40 grand a year just for the dialysis. Forget about, all the heart problems that it's creating and the blindness and diabetic neuropathy and everything else. Diabetes is really a horrible disease. And so, anyways, I got some of the information here, and I want to look at what we got in some of the problems that we see here. First of all, how are they handling it? Well, let's see. We got the diabetes report here. So, we got the diabetes report. It talks about how it's estimated that 100,000 people in Hawaii currently have diabetes. Lower educational attainment is associated with higher diabetes prevalence and mortality. So they figure out that if you're dumber than average, you're more likely to get it. Adults with diabetes are less likely to be current smokers and more likely to be former smokers. Meaning that if you're a smoker, you better keep smoking because if you quit, you might get diabetes. Seriously, this is the best they could come up with. Adults with diabetes are more likely to eat at least 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day. So you don't want to eat healthy because you're going to get diabetes. And adults with diabetes are more likely to receive their immunization for flu and pneumonia. Okay, and where that plays in, why is it that people that get their immunizations are more likely to get diabetes with flu and pneumonia? That's kind of interesting. I have a theory on that, and I think it's because they help to create autoimmune disorders, but that's something that I talked about more at the autoimmune seminar. I don't have time to go into that tonight. But the point is they look at, who's got it, they do a study on it, they give you all this information, and the official Hawaii government report on diabetes in 2004, which is the most current thing I could find. Given that many diabetes complications are preventable, what's wrong with that statement? It says, right in the middle of it, given many diabetes complications are preventable, what's wrong with that? Anybody catch it? Many. Many is wrong with that. Diabetes is preventable. The complications are all preventable. Some of the time, all of the time. Diabetes can be reversed. It's curable. You eat your way into it, you can eat your way out of it. But here's the report. This is the official report. They're going to give you all kinds of statistics and bar graphs and tell you who gets it, and correlates how many times you go to the bathroom a day, and they're going to talk about how this is important to educate people because the money spent to treat this disease are outstanding, which is true. They're spending about $132 billion a year on diabetes, and and they're saying that many complications are preventable. It's curable. They never talk about that. So they talk about risk factors. Now they're always going to talk about risk factors, but you'll notice there's 2 words that they never ever use: cause and cure. They won't tell you what causes it, because if they do, it's going to quit spreading rampantly throughout the population, and they're going to lose their cash cow for the next generation. And they sure aren't going to tell you how to cure it. because then they're going to lose their cash cow for the current generation. And so, risk for diabetes is, certain genetic, physiologic, behavioral, certain ethnic groups, it's because people are overweight, physical inactivity, poor diet. They're not telling you what causes it, okay? Uncontrolled diabetes is associated with serious complications and premature death. However, much of this burden could be prevented with early detection, improved delivery of care, better education. This is totally, totally false. Totally false. It doesn't matter how early they catch you because their treatment sucks, and it doesn't matter what treatment you get or how educated you are in their terms on it, because none of it's going to help you. You're still going to get all the problems. The difference is that you're going to pay a lot more money for it and be on a lot more drugs for a lot longer period of time. But this is absolutely true. If uncontrolled diabetes is associated with serious complications, take the "un" off of that. Controlled diabetes, controlled diabetes is associated with very severe, life-threatening complications. The people that are going to die of diabetes, the people that are going to die of end-stage renal disease, the people that are going to die of the heart attacks that were complicated by the diabetes, the people that are going to die of diabetic neuropathy, the people that are going to go blind from diabetic neuropathy, the people that are going to get their feet and legs amputated because of diabetic neuropathy, are they the ones that forgot to take their drugs? Are they? No, they took their drugs. It ain't helping. That's what's so sickening about this. Uncontrolled diabetes, they act like if they can catch it early, they can do something about it. And the truth is that something can be done about it, but they ain't going to tell you what it is. It's just disgusting, And so they talk about, now that you got it and you're totally, over a barrel, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get cardiovascular disease, you're going to get eye disease and blindness, you're going to get kidney disease, you're going to get amputations, you're going to get pregnancy complications, and you're going to get a radically increased rate and severity of flu and pneumonia, among other things, And you're going to get end-stage renal disease, which is one of the main ways it kills people. And that, of course, causes your blood pressure to go up, and since your arteries have already hardened, you're going to get a heart attack. I mean, it's just... And so then they got all kinds of radical statistics and data and prevalence of older people and younger people and people that smoke and people that don't smoke, and they studied the bejesus out of this thing. I mean, they've got every statistic that you can, but in the whole book, the whole fantastic, let's pour money into diabetes and let's save people. There's two words that aren't in that whole big pamphlet there, the report. And you look at it, it's everyone on the report, the diabetes report, like it's something great. There's two words that never enter that report. That's cause and correction, cause and cure, and it's out there. Now here's the thing. It's radical. There's a cure for this. And I thought about this the other day, and it kind of blows me away. I'm like, geez, I never really stopped and thought about this. But have you ever stopped and really thought about the fact that there's no cures for anything? There's no cure for diabetes. There's no cure for cancer. There's no cure for autoimmune diseases. There's no cure for Alzheimer's, no cure for there's no cure for nothing. What on earth have they cured? They haven't cured anything. There's no cures. It's like, I can't remember the last disease where it's like, that's really bad. Hey, but don't worry, there's a cure for that. It's like, no, it's like, whoa, we better start controlling your symptoms, and we're going to manage this disease, we're going to control this disease, and we're going to educate you about this disease. But there's no cure. And so diabetes is absolutely curable. Type 2 is curable all the time. Not some of the time. All the time. Type 1 diabetes is curable some of the time. Not all of the time. And that's because, Type 1 diabetes is where your body no longer produces insulin. Okay. Type 2 diabetes is where your cells are just no longer listening to the insulin. Your body just ignores the insulin. Type 3 is when they're both put together. Okay, but the problem there is that with Type 2 diabetes, it's been cured many times by several different doctors, and there was one doctor who had a fantastic success rate at curing diabetes, and he was very popular. And he did it by getting people off of sugar and getting people off of their drugs. This guy, this hero, this crusader, this brave man went up against the sugar industry and the pharmaceutical industry, the two largest, most powerful, most evil, most conniving entities on this earth. He went up against them. And because of it, they put out a multi-million-dollar smear campaign on this doctor. They smeared his name so bad, so loud, and so long that when I mention his name, you're instantly going to think you know what this diet is, and you're instantly going to think it's bad, and you're instantly going to think you know about this when I'll bet you dollars to donuts you really don't. His name was Dr. Robert Atkins, and he cured it. And he got people off of their insulin, he got them off their medications, and he turned it around. And it's just ironic because everyone hears the Atkins diet and says, oh, that diet's bad for your heart because there's too much fat in it. And it's so ironic that the number one complaint about that diet is that people think it's bad for your heart. Do you guys know what type of doctor Robert Atkins was? He wasn't a surgeon. Well, yeah, he was a world-renowned cardiologist. I mean, so you got a world-renowned cardiologist that comes up with a diet that's bad for your heart. I mean, so immediately something doesn't seem right there, you know. And you know, it was just tragic what they did to him. His diet had nothing to do with high protein. It had nothing to do about, you know, completely eliminating carbs. The diet was centered around stabilizing your blood sugar, you know, and it was centered around stabilizing your blood sugar by retraining your body's metabolism to burn fat preferentially over sugar. It was a very unique idea to anything I'd ever heard in my life because every diet was the same old BS. You know, put stuff in your face, go exercise, stay away from fat, stay away from sugar. Good luck. Limit your portions, limit your calories. Never ever worked, and they were always the same. And this diet was, you can eat as much food as you want. Eat everything you want, just stay away from the, you know, just eat the right foods, stay away from these foods, and you'll be fine. And it just totally, and you should never be hungry, and it blew me away, you know. And I remember the first time I heard of it, I was in high school, and I had no idea what my friend was doing. All I knew is he lost weight. I'm like, what did you do? And he told me about it. I said, it's too weird for me. I'm like, what? Whatever. I'm okay, well, that's your thing. But sure enough, he just kept losing weight. He was looking great, and well, good for you, you know. I didn't know anything. I was in high school, you know. And then he and I had a really good friend. My best friend was also a good friend of this guy, and he started doing it when I was a little bit older, and he started losing all kinds of weight. He's eating like eggs and bacon and you know, and steak and like, you know, all the foods that I love, you know. And he was eating as much as he wanted. He was never eating like drop weight. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. This was before the Atkins diet was even popular. And you know, I got into school and I started learning about it and really started studying. And I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And I did it. You know, I all the amazing things happened. You know, my cholesterol, you know, my dietary cholesterol, I started eating like 3 times as much cholesterol. My cholesterol went down. My blood sugar stabilized. My HDLs went up. My triglycerides went down. And every person that I put on it and monitored on it, made sure they did it. I mean, everything improved. It was radically. They dropped a bunch of weight. I had more energy. I wasn't falling asleep after lunch. And it just got massively smeared for this. Okay, but the thing is that Atkins wasn't original. Most people don't know that. The Atkins diet was not created by Dr. Atkins. He just popularized it. Okay, and there's been other doctors that have cured diabetes. Okay, Ron Rosedale, Dr. Mercola, his recommendations, they've been shown to reverse diabetes too. Dr. Gabriel Cousins, Dr. Max Gerson, the same guy who cured cancer from The Beautiful Truth. He cured diabetes, and Albert Schweitzer. Albert Schweitzer was going diabetic, and he cured his diabetes. I mean, so diabetes is absolutely curable. You know, it's like they just the talking heads get up there and we just act dumb. Oh, we don't know what causes that. No one knows what we can do about it. Stay away from fat. They tell you to stay away from fat, which just absolutely blows me away. So, you know, we want to look at what are their recommendations. What are they telling us? And I got to tell you immediately, you know, that whatever they're telling you is wrong, because no one's getting any better and everybody's getting worse. You know, and so you look at these pamphlets. You got Take Charge of Your Diabetes, you know, and it's the same thing, but it was revised. Okay, I'm going to read you, you know, things out of both of them, and I got to tell you, I can't figure out which one's current because they both suck so bad, you know. They're talking about, you know, we do this to make improvements and make it better, and I'm like, really? Because it still looks horrible. But you open it up, and the first thing you see is, you know, introduction. It says that you need balance in your diet. And so they always tell you, oh, you got to limit this and have a little bit of this. Let me tell you what, you don't need balance in your diet. What they're talking about is balance is that, well, you can have some, balance it with some junky food and balance it with some packaged processed food and balance it with some artificial sweeteners and limit your fat because that's horrible for you and eat tons and tons and tons of carbohydrates, and that's a balanced diet. Well, that don't work. It's not balanced. You don't want to balance good foods with bad foods. You need in what the typical common Joe average would consider a very unbalanced diet. It has to be totally unbalanced. 100% healthy food and stay away from sugar entirely, 100%. 100%. You have to stay away from it. Now, once you have normal metabolism and you're healthy, you can introduce little bits of sugar. But, you know, like Dr. Lustig was talking about, it's a poison, you know. And he, you know, for an hour and a half, he talks about that and makes a very strong case for it. Physical activity and medication. Okay, so you got to have your drugs, because that's the only thing that's going to ever help you with those drugs. Okay, oh, and with I love this. Check this out. With the support of your family, your friends, your healthcare team, and your community, you can take charge of your diabetes.